remotely must keep their cameras on and announce anyone who is with them except for minors in their location. We'll go ahead and move forward with roll call and introductions by chair. So at this time, Vice Chair Lay DeMello.
Aloha kako. It's just me. Mahalo.
Hello. Committee Member Jennifer Sheffel.
Hello, it's Jennifer. There is one other adult in the house, not in the room.
Mahalo. Committee Member Leila Kealoha.
Aloha. I have my 2 children, but they're in a different room.
Mahalo. Committee Member Suzanne Osborne. I saw you in person.
Aloha, I'm in person.
Committee Member Franny Brewer.
I'm here in person.
Committee Member Marty Morishige.
Hi, I'm here in person.
Committee Member Gregory Hinkle.
Hi, I'm alone in my room.
And I'm Chair Kanoy Wilson. I am here alone at my hale, and we have quorum to hold this meeting. Today with us, we have our county planning staff, Mariam Palma and Kavelo Kalili. Anyone else from the planning staff there? Is that all we have? Okay, mahalo. All right, mahalo. So for some housekeeping, we just ask everyone to please make sure your cell phones are turned off or on silent. If there is anyone here who would like to testify, please fill out the sign-up form and give it to our staff. Zoom testifiers can send a message in the chat to the Zoom host indicating which item they wish to testify. We ask that everyone please state your name before speaking. To all of us who are attending in person, please remember to speak toward the owl camera, the puel there that also has the microphone, so everyone on Zoom can also hear you. At this time, we're going to go ahead and move forward with the approval of the minutes from the last meeting. So the time is 5:08 p.m. The committee will now consider approving the draft minutes from the October 3rd, 2024 meeting. May I ask for a motion to approve the October 3rd, 2024 meeting minutes that was circulated?
I saw
moved.
I heard committee member Henko, and I heard someone from in person. Who is that?
Marty Morishige.
Okay, so moved by Marty. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Mahalo. So second by committee member Henko. So at this time, is there any discussion? No, none. Great. So with that, all in favor for passing the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed? None. Great. Motion carries unanimously, voting in favor of our approving our minutes. Right. The time is 5:10 p.m. The committee will now call for any statements from the public. As stated in the published agenda, members of the public may provide public testimony regarding any agenda item now or at the time the agenda item is called to order. If there is anyone here who would like to testify, please fill out the sign-up form on the front table and give it to our staff. Do we have anyone signed up for in-person testimony at this time?
Hi, Chair. We have 2 testifiers signed up. Do you want to do it now? You'll wait. Do you want to go now? Yeah, please come. Oh, you can sit down. You're brown hair. You're on the hot seat.
In the hot seat. Please state your first and last name and the agenda item you're commenting on, and then you have 3 minutes to testify. So mahalo nui.
Hello, my name is Matt Pane of the Five Brother. I am the councilman for District 5. I'm commenting on your business number 4, items 2 and 3. And just, I'm gonna kind of bounce around a little bit, but I will. Am I supposed to look over here?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I'll bounce around a little bit. We have a new administration, looks promising, and we will see what happens. We have new directors. As we move into this new administration, it is imperative that the action committee work hand in hand with council and administration to get some of the things that we need here in Puna moving and rolling. Specifically on your agenda tonight, you're looking at proposed highway infrastructure. I'm gonna call it connectivity at different levels. That is incredibly important for our district. Anytime Puna stretch would be closed, we have no access to and from Hilo. In parallel, you have the alternate route studies happening in Public Works, but you have a director of Public Works change happening as of the end of this month. With that, we need to focus in on getting the new administration and the new director of Public Works savvy to where we stand and what we find to be important. That's major connectivity. Minor connectivity, we have a bond ordinance that provides funding to minor connectivity projects, which would be connecting our subdivisions to other subdivisions across our community. We are working and have been working on one between Fern Acres and Hawaiian Acres. There is funding in the budget already for that. We can proceed with the projects should we make that a priority that we want to focus on. Secondly, I would like this body to remember that the Puna Community Development Plan calls out Kea'au as the primary hub outside of Hilo, which should be the primary place to begin building infrastructure and focusing our wants as we look to build economies outside of Hilo. With that, on our CIP list, we have a Puna Community Center, which will replace the old community center that we have currently. It's being used tonight for neighborhood watch meeting, but upstairs has never been used because of the asbestos, lead paint, etc. We also have a Kea'au Police and Fire Station, and we have a Shipman Park Master Plan coming, which helps us guide what happens in Kea'au as we grow and get bigger. So I'm providing all of that. This is stuff that's been in the works for 6 years, if not more. Connectivity's been in play for decades, and we've never built one route. We have funding, it needs to be a priority. So for this body, I would just ask that we go forward. Please let me know how I can help you. Please let me know what you need to get things done. And then please understand that a lot of the things that we are talking about and considering are in place at different levels, whether funded, whether on a capital improvement project list, whether ready to go, whether needs a little bit of a push with the new administration that lets us get these projects done. And it takes a lot to get the funding in place and to get the project moving. A lot of those pieces have been done already for a lot of these infrastructure projects, both big and small, and I'm here to help. So that's it.
Let me ask a question. So thank you, and I totally concur the connectivity and the roads are critical. How do we find out, as tonight we have Patty's presentation on connectivity that has been in works for a long time. How do we find out what already is in the works in terms of funding, and how, I would propose it back to you, how can we help you? I mean, obviously our body can provide letters of support. How do we advise the new administration? What's the best mechanism for that? How do we understand what there is money for and what we need to push for? You know, to break those things down and chunk it up so we can be effective. What would the steps be?
I believe the action committee can really promote ideas and push those ideas into the administration at the same time the council can, as well as the community. And so I would lean on the action committee to find the ideas, bring them up as business and push those ideas back into the administration and say, these are things that we think are important.
Letters of support.
Letters of support, letters of action, whatever your abilities are as a body, yes, please. As far as how to make it happen, the director of public works is your major person. They're guided by the administrative lead, which is our new mayor. Those two people need to understand what we want to see. That's where you folks come in. That's the beauty of what you do.
Find information on those things that you spoke about that are already in the works. Like, where can we find something to point at?
So I was given a file by Roy Takemoto, before he left the Harry Team administration. He gave me a file that was based on work that was done since the early 2000s. We had a bond ordinance passed in 2020, which provided bond funding to connectivity to the tune of about $10 million. We haven't touched it. So it's just sitting there. It's at our disposal. It's never been touched. So you have literally,
CIP funds as well?
no, this is bond funding.
It's
So it's
bond.
funding that is secured and ready to go
Okay.
when we make it a priority to do the
So
project.
our letters can go to DPW, the mayor, with our action steps and inform them, remind them of this bond information. And we can reach out to you if we need help.
I have, yes, I have all that as well as Ms. Patty Pinto, who is a wealth of information.
Okay, awesome.
And I would mention, it's not just Upper Puna. Any of these changes that we make, we look to do affect both upper and lower.
Yeah.
Puna, my wife will say it all the time. Aloha has no boundaries. We can't have boundaries in Puna. Doesn't matter whether you're Malco or Mackay of Highway 130, we all depend on Pond Avenue stretch and our major state highways to get us to and from where we need to go. So we as a county have to work hand in hand with state or implement our own fixes and make this better. I have all the information. Patty has information. There's information online and it affects all of us, which is why I'm here today. So all of your time and then Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
I have a question. Thank you for filling us in a little bit about what's going on, but is there any money designated for Seattle Community Center at this point?
The last bond ordinance that came in front of the council, which we passed about a month ago, had money for design. Design comes first, land acquisition, and then construction. So these are projects that I want to make sure that we get moving so the next person who comes into office can actually get these projects landed and done. Because it takes that many years to get big projects through.
Are they talking about a different location or just tearing that down and rebuilding there?
Ideally, as expressed by previous department heads for Parks and Recreation, it would be best to build new while we maintain the current. And then when we're done, we can demolish the old building. So we don't lose the ability to provide services to the community.
When did they pick a location?
No, so design and land acquisition, that's our first steps.
Also.
But it's on the CIP list, which allows us to begin to focus on the project to bring it up.
So no, location has been, suggested.
Not at this point. There were ideas, but nothing hard.
Matt, could I encourage you to come again? And when you come again, because how we can be most effective is with these letters. And if you have actionable items that are ready to go, that would be fantastic for us. If we could just understand what just needs that nudge and we can convene, get those letters and support you in those, that would be super helpful to us. But you want to be effective. And that's, I think, the greatest way we can do so.
Yeah, mahalo, Susie, for saying that. I think I want to reiterate that on behalf of our action committee, working alongside with you, Matt. We would really appreciate having those check-in moments with you, and especially if there are things that we can help to kind of bump priorities up. So in that regard, because you have the pulse on what's happening at the county council level, this would really help us to also kind of shape that as well at the action committee level. So anytime you can come to our meetings and be able to just kind of give us updates. We've been having even some of our legislators on the state side coming, so we're kind of understanding what's happening on the state end, as well as knowing what's happening on the county end, since there's a lot of collaboration there. But we'd appreciate you being part of some of our check-ins, some of our AC meetings as well. So mahalo nui. All right, do we have another testifier?
Hi, Chair, we have Ms. Hannah Hendricks here to provide testimony on item number 3.
Hi, my name is Hannah Hedrick. I've lived in Fern Forest for 24 years. And I have provided testimony on this general issue of connectivity and specifically opening an already existing road that's 60 feet wide, California, that connects Fern Forest to Eden Rock. And today I would like to say thank you for considering connectivity. And if there's any way that I can help you with what you end up doing, please let me know. But in the meantime, I'm kind of working with the Neighborhood Watch and Civil Defense and other organizations and agencies to understand that a California needs to be opened now. It's different from all of these other roads. It is an existing road. It is a 60-foot wide road. It is the cheapest, I think, to open. If you go back and review the mayor's committee on Puna Road connectivity, the beautiful, incredible maps and the amount for each of the connectivity locations that was estimated at that time, that if you do gravel, I believe that it was the cheapest. We've had a problem that we've tried to move this whole thing together all at the same time. I'm asking you to consider recommending that California be focused on separately, both because Eden Rock now has only one entrance, and I think they're working on something in the Furnace, but who knows how long that will take. You've got an existing road with barriers by two boards. Melissa Fletcher, the president of the FFCA board, submitted a testimony to you all, very intelligent testimony describing the issues and how difficult it is to achieve connectivity within the middle of subdivisions. But I really ask you to look carefully at that, because people in these subdivisions want the middle of their subdivisions open. She suggested going to the back, and I'm sorry Matt isn't still here, because he did an omnibus bill several years ago trying to show routes that the police could use, school buses could use, public transportation could use, and that kind of route. Nothing has been done. So I would prefer to do that, but even if that is done, we need as many connections between the subdivisions as we can get. It is not just an emergency response and preparedness. It is public health, because for social and for employment and for every reason in the world that Stephanie has repeatedly provided testimony and communications with the mayor, and I didn't see any response to her last one. It is not just an issue that road boards should be able to say, these are our private roads. These are community-owned public access roads, and the communities, the members, are not being given a voice in opening up these locations. So they have that voice, but the boards are ignoring them. So I, with Neighborhood Watch and working with Neighborhood Watch in Kapua Farm Lots and Eden Rock and so forth, we're going to go to the boards and respectfully ask them to take those down. We have people with big equipment who are ready to go in if there is an emergency. No one's going to come help us in Fern Forest. If there's an emergency, we are on our own. So anyway, you're hearing what I'm saying. I've said this before. I put it in writing about 6 months ago, an article, and 2 years ago, newsletter summarizing all the communications that we've had. And of course, there's changeover and re-education and so forth. I'm asking for your help in any way with connectivity, and how can we help you? And I'm specifically asking you to look at California, to drive up, to go down to the end of California where we have that road cleared, and we're going to get it cleared again. Because we're not going to be belligerent about it, but residents are going to take their own safety into their own hands in preparation for something where time will be of the essence. So thank you. I appreciate everything you do. You have 1,000 things you're doing. Matt has fought so hard on this. Patty has fought so hard on this. So any help you can give us would be greatly appreciated with the new administration. The sooner the better. Thank you.
So is that road part of what there is funding for?
Number one.
What you saying?
There's number one on there, that is.
All right, mahalo. Any more testifiers for this portion of our agenda?
So we only have one more testifier, but that she's gonna wait for her agenda item to be called agenda item. 1, 2, and 3. We can move on with business item.
Okay, great. So at this time, it's 5:26 p.m. The committee will now move on to business item number 1, the presentation by Orchid Land Neighbors.
Did you want to give your testimony now? Or the
I just. Yeah. You can break it for each item.
wait. You're not going to speak to Orchid Land Neighbors, are you? What? Are you speaking right now about the agenda item number 1, which is Orchid Land Parks? Yeah. Orchid Land Neighborhood? Yes. Oh, okay, okay.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Bath, and I just wanted to testify on behalf of getting a park in Orchid Land. I think that there are a number of organizations out there that are looking at this. There's also in the community development plan, a discussion on linear parks. And so at the connectivity location between Hawaiian Acres and Orchid Land, more than one parcel might be purchased and a linear park could be put in, although that would serve the two communities and not Orchid Land, which is a growing community. I just wanted to testify in favor of parks. Thank you.
Excuse me, are you familiar with Orchid Land Neighbors plan to put a park, Orchid Land Drive and 36th Avenue? Are you aware of that?
Is that Jenny Ace?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, are you in support of that?
I am, yes.
Is that what you're speaking to?
I'm in favor of parks.
Yes.
So that people don't have, because when HPP gets their park, people are gonna have to transverse that highway and there's gonna be more left-hand turns to go home. So I think that all communities should have parks. I think Orchid Land might have 2 parks, 3 parks. I don't know. I am in favor of that little one on 36 with that community. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for clarification.
All right, mahalo. At this time, we're going to ask the Orchid Land neighbors to do their presentation.
I guess I'm going to have to speak about that because Jenny Ace, who was supposed to come and submit testimony, apparently has car trouble and couldn't be here. The emphasis has kind of changed. Orchid Land Neighbors is a nonprofit that's collecting money. It's almost impossible to get enough to build buildings and, let's see, I think they've fenced in the land, which is amazing. But their vision was to also have a certified kitchen and lots of different activity spaces and, the land is relatively small, I would say, 4 acres. So we just saw a presentation about Paradise Parks, in a proposed county park. They're talking about 20 acres. So I think we've kind of snowballed or thought about this whole vision for Orchid Land Drive. They need a fire station there. They need, and to start with, it would be okay to start with a volunteer, but I hear about all the, what do you say, all the things they have to do to even make that possible. But coming to the foundation of any of the development on Orchid Land Drive, I think Jenny Ace and I have talked a lot about it, is a water source. Whether it's a water line from Highway 130, because there is a water line there, or one of our members suggested a well. That sounds good too. So I'm recommending our committee write a letter or recommendation to the Director of Public Works to start the process to get water up to 36th, 37th on Orchid Land Drive. So I can help write the letter. What is the procedure? Okay, so for next meeting, I'll prepare the letter. Is that okay? Do we need a vote on that?
We don't need to vote on that. Then we bring the draft and then when the committee reviews the draft and then you change and then you vote.
Okay, wonderful. All right.
Agreed. Yes. If we need to defer this, I'd like to have more information about what is happening. And then that way we have more information that will help us to make our decision in regards to how we draft letters of support, things like that. So.
Well, can I expand on that? Having the water source there is going to help all the people in Orchid Land that live relatively near Orchid Land Drive. to get water, you know, if the catchment is low. So it'll be a source of water or hauling water. The water haulers might like it too. So it's a big deal to bring in water. Thank you.
Mahalo. So at this point, since we don't have the presentation on the Orchid Land neighbors, is there a motion to defer this, or should we just table this for now and then we can have this as part of the new business for next agenda?
We can table it for now, and Marty, once we get that draft together, you send it over to us, and then we'll make sure
Okay.
we put it on the agenda.
Okay. Great. Mahalo. So the time is 5:32 p.m. and now the committee will move on to business item number 2, presentation by Patty Pinto. Is there anyone that wants to testify on this item?
Yes. Okay, we're gonna pull up your phone.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Patty Pinto, and I have served on the Puna Community Development Plan Action Committee for about 150 years. And I've enjoyed every minute of it. Back in, I think it was 2011, 2012, we decided that the connectivity between subdivisions had grown to be such a problem that we made a subcommittee of the Action Committee to begin to study connectivity and emergency preparedness for the communities that are basically these bags of roads that hang off the highways and they're not connected to each other. So if you look at that big map, you'd see this huge swath of residential lots that goes from the ocean all the way up to Volcano, and there are not roads between them. And I have a friend who lives in the subdivision next to me. I can stand in my driveway and honk my horn. She can honk back, but it takes me nearly a half hour to drive over to her place. Because I have to go all the way up to the highway, up just a short distance, and then back down into another subdivision. These are things that just don't make sense for school buses have trouble using the subdivisions. First responders have trouble getting from one place to another. For us socially, it's difficult. And in emergencies, and we have seen some really outstanding emergencies in our state in the last few years. There have been wildfires in Upper Puna. There were areas that were blocked. During the last rain, the top of Eden Rock, Kahiko Pele, was flooded and impassable. So anybody who lived in Eden Rock had no route out of their subdivision. And it's just these very simple roads that we can be building that will make a big difference for the people who live in these subdivisions. Most of the subdivisions have limited in-road and out-road. My subdivision has one road in and out. When we have heavy roads, we're either on the below side of that or on a staying home. I've spent a couple of nights in the parking lot at Mountain View School because you can't get home. And that happens up in Upper Puna to a lot of people. It's something that is so easy to fix and only takes the will to do it. We've got the funding and we've done the work. This committee on connectivity that has worked. We began work and we did this at KL High School. And what we did was to emergency preparedness, civil defense. So we began working together to do these prep fairs where we brought a lot of emergency preparedness resources to the community. And also we had a room about this size that was full of giant maps of Puna. So when you came into the room, I think we have some pictures of the maps here. When you came into the room, we would ask, where do you live? And they would say, oh, I live in HPP. And you say, okay, go over to table 6. And you would go over to table 6 and there would be people working there. Can you find those slides? Or not? And
they would say, let's mark on the map where you live, and people would mark their and then how do you get in and out of your subdivision? They would trace that. And what happens if a tree falls down there? What do you do? And from doing this exercise and working with hundreds of people, we began to find that there were places where people tended to make a road, or where it would be a really good idea to have a road. So we began to collect all this data, and we worked tirelessly. We went to the community associations. We talked to hundreds of people about these points of connectivity, and took the information. We came back and made a report back to the community and the Puna Community Development Plan Action Committee. And then it was recommended that we take it to council. So we took it to council, and that was in the Billy Kanoy administration. And the council approved the report and plan. And then they recommended that we do an ad hoc committee to restudy it. And so in this, you're seeing what happens when we change administrations in the county. And a lot of people don't understand how debilitating and devastating it can be to have an administration change. Sometimes it's like 51st date syndrome. Nobody remembers what happened yesterday. And all these projects that people work on for a long time get sidelined because there's no longer anybody in that department who's going to make sure that we keep our attention with it. And so after the Billy Kanoy administration, we went to the Harry Kim administration, and he said, well, let's do a study. Well, we had the study, right? It took 4 years for us to produce a study. This is the one that Roy Takamoto is he was the chair of that. And so we did the study, and at the end of the Harry Kim administration, all of the projects were turned over to the Department of Public Works to implement, and then they got new director of engagement and road connectivity. And so we made it 4 years through that administration. And I'm here to grab you. Let's make a pig. Let's do this properly, because if we don't stay on this and talk to our representatives and talk to our department heads, we're never going to get these things done. And it just is squeaky wheel. It gets the grease, and we've got to be the squeaky wheels for community connectivity. And I can go. One of the things that we worked on was these points of criteria. So we didn't want to do this something airy-fairy that the people in the community think is a good idea, but the county knows can never happen. So we began working directly with Ben Ishii, an engineer with Department of Public Works. What are the criteria for making a point of connectivity? And we got their points. And these are they. And the biggest thing, they would like to have it connect to a county road. And they do not want to have a subdivision that they're going to have to fight with. So those were the really important things. At that time, they wanted to be able to build everything to standards, but it doesn't make sense to pave a road that connects two gravel roads. So if you have two gravel roads that are getting connected, why can't you connect them with a gravel road? So, and things like that. And so then we also went to the plan itself, the community development plan. And next slide, we got all the points of that were important on the Puna Community Development Plan there. So these are the things: health and safety, education, social issues, land use, safe routes to schools, community alliances, everything. These were the points that were a high criteria according to the Puna Community Development Plan. And then we made these grids, and we judged gave every point of connectivity points and evaluated them in that way. And the point of connectivity that Hannah Hedrick spoke of, the one between Eden Rock and Fern Forest, easiest, simplest, highest points is just like a no-brainer. Why we haven't done that is beyond me. Next. we have- Oh, here, you can't see this, but that's the grid we worked on with the points of the criteria in judging the points of connectivity. Next slide. All of these, this is this huge swath of subdivisions that don't have roads between them. There are very few. And so the marks are there with points where we've recommended points of connectivity. And the subdivisions, every single subdivision says, well, we don't want the criminals from that subdivision coming into our subdivision. But, you know, it's very clear that all subdivisions grow their own criminals. So, it's a silly, NIMBY sort of an argument. But one thing, they didn't want to have something become a thoroughfare where all of a sudden traffic is flowing through your subdivision. So it's staggered points of connectivity and not a thoroughfare. So you can get around if it's flooded at the top, or if there's a tree down on Highway 11, you can get around it. Now you can't, but when we have these things, you will be able to. But we're not creating a road through a community. Next. This is a map of the point of connectivity that Hannah spoke of. And this is the road coming through Fern Forest. These are all road lots. It's not like it's somebody's property. This belongs to the community association. So it's just to make this little stretch right here a road. So easy. Next.
If it belongs to the community association, isn't that their responsibility to make that road?
They have to talk to each other, they have to have an agreement.
Oh, I see.
They need a little help. And this is just a satellite view of how that is. You can see it's partly overgrown there.
So what do you need from the county to you need them to facilitate?
This, they need to have to pay a little bit for the gravel and things like that, and the dozing. And also to make a memorandum of understanding between the two community associations so that the next board doesn't come in and say, okay, we're putting up barriers. These things need to remain open. Next slide. This is the one that right now, Public Works is actually working on this one. This connects the top road of Fern Acres to the top road of Eden Rock across the top of Kapula Farm lots. This is a road lot that belongs to Fern Acres, so there's just a little stump down here that belongs to a defunct corporation. I propose legislation which is in the state and will be coming up in January that will enable community associations to acquire title to their roads. What's happened is in the late 50s, early 60s, developers made all these roads. When they sold the last lot, the corporations dissolved and they still own the roads. They didn't transfer the title to their roads to the community associations. So all of the road beds in most of the community associations throughout Puna belong to dissolved corporations. And so when we want to go to county contract to do something, there's no one to negotiate with, right? So this legislation will enable a community association to acquire the title to their own roads if the corporation has been dissolved for more than 5 years. And they'll have to do that at their own expense. But right now, there's no mechanism because there's no one to acquire the title from. So this is very simple, and this will give a second road out here on South Kapua. If you drive up Highway 11, you know that's a real road, a county road. So this subdivision, this subdivision, this subdivision, the next one, and the one over there will have another road out. Simple, 4 subdivisions, get one more road to the highway. What was, part of that road, the old Volcano Road? The original? The trail is this thin line right on the top there. And so that was not owned by the county? It's, limbo state. I'm sorry, what? It's limbo. It's the old volcano trails, the heritage thing basically belongs to the state. The state won't do anything. So it would never was a road back in the day, even in the 1800s that was. Oh, I'm sure there was cane hole. Like how'd they get to Volcano? It was further up, a little bit further up. Okay. Yeah, here. I see. Because I'd heard about the old Volcano Road. Yeah, that trail has, in this section, it has been mapped, but nobody really wants to do anything about it, but you can't build right on it, so we're adjacent to it. Is eminent domain even a possibility in these things? It is a possibility. The county is reluctant to do things by eminent domain, but they will. Who is? The county is reluctant to do things by eminent domain, but they will. They do it every year. For safety reasons, that's just, it's just. So this stretch here, a good 2-day rain and that is impassable. And so next slide. Here you can, this is just a satellite picture of it. Next slide. This is on the other side of Fern Acres. Why don't we connect over to Hawaiian Acres? That would require the purchase of one private lot. They go for about $30,000. So this is the road lot that belongs already to Fern Acres. They'll happily share that. Just put a little road across there. Next one. That's a satellite of that.
Patty, what was the satellite taken?
This is current.
So there's.
I got it from the real property tax. Next slide. And this is on the other side of Hawaiian Acres to connect over to Orchid Land. We're trying to find a lot that we could purchase that didn't have a house on it. This one still doesn't have a house on it. But this is a flood road. When it rains, this does turn into a protect. Have you considered Road 11 in Hawaiian Acres? That's Road 11. That was the road. Puna is 11, right? I would think it would be, and I know that area.
There were actually two, Patty, because it's such a wide area.
Yeah, there's another one that's down lower, but I didn't do both of them. This is road. As you, yeah. Up at the top, yes, and the county is currently working on that road. Oh, good. So that does make a big difference if the state would make a left turn lane so that we didn't have so many accidents on the highway. That would be great. Next. Yeah, just satellite of that. Next. Back in the day, we looked at an emergency exit route for Seaview because they only had one road and it goes down to the ocean. But Seaview community at that time was up in arms that they brought, I don't know, 40 testifiers to the community development plan action committee meeting against it. But this is the proposal, goes along a Helco right of way out. They have, the Seaview community is now interested in having another emergency exit and, but maybe not open all the time. But just another way for them to get out because their only exit is to go towards the ocean. Next. We looked at a possibility of another exit from Nana Valley. And this is Fourth Road over by the one we're exit for that. Next one. And this is also not a valley, and it's not a point of connectivity, but just a very small bit of work right here at that corner. And we could bring the bus
all the way through Nana Valley in a loop. It's gotta cost at least $150,000 to do that. It's like a dream come true. We could have the bus go all the way through the valley. Right now, it stops, it doesn't pass here. So it's a fact, most of the points of connectivity that are needed are in Upper Puna, but there are these. And of course, you know, during the inundation, we did repair the old Government Beach Road. We have fixed railroad between subdivisions. They're now, old Government Beach Road is doing okay. Railroad is overgrown again. But these are things that we could have that we don't. That's it. Anyone? That's a nice subdivision. Questions?
Thank you, Patty. I think they're honestly, I mean, I've watched this, you doing this incredible work and been part of those civil defense fairs, and there's so much that's gone into this, and I think now is the time, and I think we have the support of administration and the incredible council. And I think it's a multi-pronged approach that needs to be happen with this. I'd be really happy to work on a letter with you to bring to this body. And also, I think we should consider presentations to DPW and the mayor, and I don't know what else we can do. But I think that now.
No more studies.
Yeah, no more studies, and.
Maria has all the reports, and you know, she can make that all available to us.
Yeah, and understanding what monies there are, so we can articulate really succinctly and really clearly and get actionable steps and present it in a like this, but then with the action steps that are really coherent and make it super easy for everyone. And I don't know if there's a subcommittee that wants to work on this, but I'd be happy to support you in this. I think it's super important.
We have enough money in that bond to do 10, 11 points of connectivity.
It'd be a huge win.
And buy a new wardrobe for everybody to do.
How much money was?
Between 10 and $11 million.
I just wanted to add that 16 years ago or 10 years ago, the lots were not going for $55,000. And they were not built out, and we had more options anyway.
Yeah.
So now we're paying more for the lots, but we have the money. So, but this is the reason why I wanted to testify after, because I knew she had it all. And
so it takes a will to do it. We have the money, we have the studies, we know where it's supposed to be. These have all been vetted by the communities. We have done all the groundwork. We need to have somebody say, I want to see this done.
Patty, who's introducing the bill for the road, position?
Joy.
Joy. Can you make sure to give us that,
It doesn't have a number yet.
No, so Joy, you're right.
I will.
Yeah, so we can do testimony, yeah.
Yeah, it should be easy because there's no fiscal impact.
Nothing is easy.
Nothing's easy.
The 10 to 11 million is county.
Yes.
I just want to ask, have you run into a problem with, since it is county money, that they say to you, well, these have to be built to county standards with the drainage and the curbs and gutters and all that kind of stuff?
Yes,
I mean,
of course we ran into that. But the county has substandard roads. The county has gravel roads. And all they have to do is admit that they have them. And at DPW, I worked with Neil Acevedo for a while, and he was okay with gravel roads. I mean, it's not like we don't have them.
I 100% agree with you. I asked because that is the excuse I have heard so many times. And
Yes.
I think that is something that maybe we as a committee can try to get some sort of leeway on, some sort of exception. Because the one thing the county always says is that it has to be county standards, and that takes $100 million, which is, once again, as in my personal opinion, ridiculous. You have that money already allotted, this should be able to be done.
Yes, and those kinds of figures are trotted out in order to stop something. They're not, you know, if anybody said, let's do this, then those arguments would cease to exist.
I think we have a let's do this more. So let's do
Okay.
this. Is there anybody else that feels that wanting to help on this, so that we could actually have a subcommittee on this and move this forward?
I see Leila had her hand raised, so just wanted to recognize her.
Aloha. Thanks, Patty. You know, I just want to share that this has been such a long process. I want you guys to think back to when Patty first started talking. She talked about 2012. That was 12 years ago. And we've been here, I mean, on this committee since 2013. We've watched Patty go through this whole process. They had all this stuff done. I highly encourage us to get this moving. Whatever we can do to put it on our next agenda for new business is to have a drafted letter. I feel like to sit with DPW, with the mayor, whatever it is, to get these connectivity points put in. You know, and there's also the other few that Matt has been trying to work on as well too, which is the upper Stainback Highway connecting to the upper Gila, which would alleviate a lot of stuff on the Pontiac stretch. And that goes to like the relationship between county and state. So it's really a matter of working with our state reps as well too, to get them part of the conversation of wherever these other connectivity roads are, you know, needed. So I just wanted to say thank you, Patty, for all those years of work. And like we've been waiting to see this happen. Let's move it forward. However we can, as an action committee, support this because it's critical. So thank you very much. Just wanted to share.
Mahalo. And Vice Chair DeMello?
Aloha. Mahalo nui, Patty, for your perseverance and all the hard work that you've done over these years. My question was, as you've had to redo it or continue to re-educate, like you said, as there's been changes in administration and in the different communities. I remember in the PowerPoint it said one of the things the county is requesting is that these communities kind of agree. Do you know are the parties involved for these connectivity areas, are they still in agreement, these communities? Do they still support these things, or are there certain areas that might be more priority because they are in agreement, or how is that now today?
There are two communities that were opposed that have changed boards and are now in favor. Of course, community association boards change and we all know what they're like. So we could run into an issue, but also it's just a matter of education and spending time really communicating with people and letting them know that no, we're not building a highway through your subdivision. We're just letting you connect to your neighbor. And things that, you know, people want to have an immediate rejection response to. If you sit down and talk one-on-one, usually get through the issue.
Mahalo.
Are there any more questions from committee members?
I make a motion that we communicate and as I'll second the motion.
Please repeat the motion. I didn't hear it.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. So, okay, so strategic wise, considering sunshine, considering those limitations, I would say the general spectrum of the AC's options are dependent on how many committee members want to be involved in this project. So if we want 2 to 4, then yes, permitted interaction group. If we can dedicate just 2 members to this cause that are working in the background with Patty and council and departments, then that we don't need to create the permitted interaction group, and then we can have this as a routine agenda item.
and they provide updates. So, but kind of depends on your guys' interest and who's interested in being involved with this project and who's okay with working on something else.
Who's passionate to work on this project? I know, Lay, you live in that upper Puna area, but it might be, I mean,
I am happy to kokua as much as I possibly can.
Maybe if the committee members can kind of just go in a rotation and see who's strongly interested, who's, you know, is willing to be helpful and who is waiting for another project. Chair, if you want to do that roll call.
Sure.
Thanks.
So at this point in time, a roll call in those that are interested in supporting a connectivity project. So I think I heard from Vice Chair Lay DeMello already. Yeah. Committee member Shuffle.
What is the question right now? So we're trying to decide which one we're gonna do, right?
And if you're interested in working on this, connectivity,
Yeah.
connectivity.
how interested, so we're trying to determine if it's okay,
Yeah.
if it's less than, if it's 2 people, we don't need it.
What do we think is gonna be more effective?
That's what I was thinking.
I'm
highly supportive, but if two people makes more sense, let's just let
Exactly.
high supporting people do it.
I think 2 people give you the flexibility.
And doing, and then having it as a standing agenda item.
Okay.
So I guess we're gonna vote on that, right? That we all feel that that's.
Well, is that a motion that we need? I thought that wasn't. We just need one more other person to agree, right?
I think I was just trying to like temperature check everybody to see, kind of go one by one.
I think we could get, I mean, I think we have two. I think we could get more if we wanted more, but I think that it's more like we want to do what's most effective. If it doesn't, if we have 4 people that are interested, but that's gonna make it more clunky, I don't want that to be the case. It holds us back, right? So if you feel like it's more nimble to just have 2 people, then I feel like then, you know, if that's how everybody's leaning, then I think that that's what we should proceed.
That will enable, you to go and take a meeting with Department of Public Works without getting a whole sunshine, production going.
I highly support it. I was a realtor and I drove all those subdivisions and I know how bad it is. So, I mean, I don't know if that would help to be on the committee, to be the other second person.
I'm not saying I want to be, I just want to see this happen. I know,
So I instead of doing the page, then, I say we go with making a standing agenda item. My proposal is that we make it a standing agenda item, and then the folks who want to work with Patty can talk to Patty, and then it can be reported back at each meeting.
Who are the 2 dedicated AC members?
In that case, if it's talking about having meetings in person with DPW and stuff, I could just tap out of this one for now because I am not physically on island. So whoever can do something like that, go for it.
I'm happy to do it, but I want other people to do it first. If there's nobody else, I'll do it, but I want, you know what I mean?
Actually, considering for this project, applying to the action committee seat to help with this. I will, let me take a day to really think about it. If that, you know, I might not be there the full 4 years, but can help with this.
And we can adjust once that happens.
Yeah.
And then we'll take a little time
I
for that.
will go and talk to my husband. And
It does
apply.
take a while to do it.
What's that?
It does take a while after you apply.
Yeah, I'll call up the mayor and tell him there's what's that? I don't really want to do this, be on the action committee, but I will, if will, how to get this done.
But you can also be, there's no limitation on community members also being part of this group.
Oh.
The limit is on action committee.
Oh, well, I can help.
So then you can just be helpful with that.
Never mind.
But also we would love you.
Let me get this. I thought you volunteered to head it up. Or the race meeting. No, head it up.
We just need two people to support Patty. I am,
Well, I support it. And I have,
And you
you know,
agree with
personal experience with these situations too. Because I did travel all over that area constantly selling property there.
and yeah, I can do it. I'll work with you. I mean, I'm always reluctant to take on new stuff, but I've been watching your presentations for how many years and I was just like, why are we doing this?
Yeah, I know.
Making it crazy.
I agree.
And yeah, I live up there, been caught on that highway for 7 hours waiting for an accident to clear and 1 mile from my house and couldn't get there and yeah. And then do we need to still make the motion to make this a standing agenda item? Okay, we're good.
Do we need a motion?
Well, we can make a motion, to dedicate, the 2 members to go and represent the action committee.
Okay.
That would be appropriate, but we don't need to make a motion on the agenda. So moved. Make a motion, yeah.
Who made the motion?
The motion is to dedicate 2 members of the Puna Action Committee to working with Patty to getting some of these meetings going on and you know, preparing letters of support and such. On behalf of the CDP.
And is there a second?
A second.
And we obviously had a discussion. Is there any more discussion on the motion?
I just have one thing I wanted to add, if that's okay. Because I know the majority of connectivity addresses like the upper Puna areas, and I just want to make sure that we're still looking at what's happening down in Puna Makai as well too, with the connectivity issues out in Lower Puna. So if we can at some point address more of the connectivity out in that area as well too, I would be very happy with that as well too. Mahalo.
Mahalo with that. So with that, all in favor? Say aye.
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 Any opposed? Better not be. No, sorry. Kalaway. So the motion has passed unanimously. So again, on behalf of the Action Committee, mahalo, Patty, again, for all the awesome work you've been doing over this last 12 plus years. And so our Action Committee will be working closely with you and also obviously with our council members as a state to really push this forward. So we mahalo you again for all the work that you've been doing on this. Mahalo. All right, with that being said, the time is 6:10 p.m. The committee will now move on to business item number 3, which is discussion of Action Committee implementation priorities.
Sorry,
And this
Chair.
is just a continued discussion.
Sorry, we had another testifier, Miss Stephanie Bath for, item number 2 that she was waiting after, Patty's presentation. So if you, could you share a few more words before we move on?
Sure.
On the house, Stephanie Bath. I was on the Puna Community Development Plan Steering Committee, and I was the lead over transportation. One thing is that we're talking about Patty's wonderful dedication for these, how many years, 12 years? However, what we're doing is I do want to recognize the community because the community was added since 2006, and I don't know if she's still here, but one of them might have left. So This has been in process for a long time. I just wanted to read something because Patty pretty much covered it. This is from a book that I just finished. A warrior of light knows that certain moments repeat themselves. He often finds himself faced by the same problems and situations, and seeing these difficult situations returned, he grows depressed, thinking that he is incapable of making any progress in life. I've been through this all before, he says to his heart. Yes, you have been through all of this before, replies his heart, but you have never been beyond it. Then the warrior realizes that these repeated experiences have been but one aim: to teach him what he does not want to learn. I want to take some poetic license here and say the warriors of light have been through this, saying, why are we going through this? Why do we keep coming before the county council? Why do we keep doing this? And I believe that, no offense to the county, but I believe that for decades, the county has not wanted to learn that this is a problem. They haven't wanted to address it. And so they're not listening. And look at what Patty has just prepared. This is old stuff. And so I thank this committee. I thank the planning department for stepping up and saying, enough, the time is now. Because in fact, this is an environmental justice issue. And we all know that Puna is set aside. One last thing that I want to share is we're talking about the county and the state, but there's another piece here. If we could get the feds involved, their federal grant monies, if we could get the Department of Transportation on a federal level to create a category where there are rural ag areas that can get funds to gravel roads or to have smaller roads, not the ICE-T 100-foot corridors that they require for grant money. If we could get the feds involved, the county can and the state can get more money, and we can really get this done. So I'm hopeful. Thank you.
Chair, we have one more testifier for agenda item number 2.
Hi, I'm here to support Patty and opening especially the Eden Rock Fern Forest connection. I've been working on this more than 12 years, actually 3 decades, 30 years. And we have to do it now. We have to. Because the Big Island is growing. Population is growing. There's going to be more traffic. There's already more traffic. And safety and the growth of the Big Island. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Mahalo nui. Any other testifiers? All right, at this time, I'll go ahead and open up for discussion on AC implementation priorities. As we can see on the agenda item number 3, first and foremost at the top is through the Puna CDP 4.3.3 roadway network, which I believe that's part of what the connectivity, if I go back and I think I saw on Patty's slide, that was called out as part of the ad hoc committee. Then we have Puna CDP 2.2.3, native forests and geological features. And then Puna CDP 3.3.3, social services and housing. So at this time, I'll open up to our action committee members on any further discussion on seeing as these are our top 3 priorities.
Chair, we have testifiers for agenda item number 3, Ms. Stephanie Bath.
Aloha again, Stephanie Bath. Yeah, the 3, 4, 3, 3, I think we covered. As far as native forests and geological features, I think it's really important that we hold the county accountable to enforcing the grubbing and grading ordinances and making a correction for that, doing whatever they need to do. I've often thought that a certificate at this point with all of the development that a certificate of need might be indicated. I know it's going to put another level of control over that people don't want, but what reason does a person have to strip mine the native forests to build a house or just to sell it? I think there needs to be some sort of an accountability there, and also to hold the lot owners accountable for doing proper surveying, so they're not taking out their neighbor's forest. As far as 333 social services, Patty touched on this. We need to have some connectivity so that children from one subdivision to another subdivision can hang out, can bicycle and do their school projects. That's it's not really social service in the way of health, buses or things like that, but that connectivity opens up that mental health element of it for children. Out in Puna, the teenagers have so little to do. So yeah, I support that. Thank you so much.
Mahalo nui. Chair recognizes Leila, committee member Leila Kealoha.
Mahalo, my hand was up from before we moved to this, but I just wanted to acknowledge Stephanie. Thank you for always being there at our meetings, because you've been there from the get-go and from before. And Hannah as well too. So I just want to say mahalo to them. And I didn't get to catch the last person's name that came up to testify before Stephanie, but thank you guys for all your years of service to our community. I do want to share that this is something, all of these things that are on our priorities list are huge, right? And I brought up, so back in August when we had our meeting, and it was specifically Stephanie that had brought up, which is what's re-sparked in my mind, the carrying capacity of Puna. And literally this was right around the time that school was starting. And when we had no buses, we have one road in and out of, communities from Lower Puna and Upper Puna and so forth. And our roads were just horrific. And so I feel like a lot of this has to, and I did meet with our planning team, on the side to really talk about this issue, because it's a larger issue. And the urban sprawl, the sprawl development that's happening in Puna, with the lack of infrastructure, how do we address this? Why are we not following our action committee, our Puna community development plan action, like our plan? I know it's and connectivity is just one of those things. But what are we doing to address that is one of my questions. Like, I feel like that's one of the biggest priorities that we need to look at, is the sprawl development in Puna with the lack of infrastructure. Why are we allowing people to come in and buy 15 lots in Paradise Park to just plop up a house and flip it for money? So what are we doing to address that? Because it's just happening. And in our Puna Community Development Plan, it talks about this specific in the first part of chapter 3 in managing growth and the negative impacts of this. So I feel like this is a larger conversation, but I just have to put it out there because I feel like to me, this is one of the biggest things that I've been seeing. I'm 48. I was born here. I watched this entire place change. And so what are we doing about it? Connectivity is one thing. And I'm sorry, but I got to put it out there because this is something that's really heavy on my heart. And with the new administration change, I think it's imperative that we sit with our public works planning director, our mayor, and address these issues in Puna. Because we just got that, what was the new thing that just got approved? Multiple Ohana dwelling units on properties. That's going to triple one lot. How are we regulating this stuff? Right. And I feel like as part of the planning department, and the action committee as part of the planning department to implement the PCDP, that we need to decide on something of how to address the sprawl in Puna and the lack of infrastructure that we have here. Okay, Pau, for now, thank you.
Mahalo. Any other further discussion by committee members?
Aloha. Oh, Kalamai. I just wanted to add to what Leila was saying. Connectivity is a big issue, and these are all big issues, but I do want to take us back to even just a small piece of how these people who come in, and we've all had our time of coming in and getting our lots and stuff and building our ohana, our family homes and whatnot. But how can we as a community encourage or even like make it where they need to follow rules regarding the grubbing and the grading and all of these things, because so many people say, oh, I want to live in this beautiful place, and then they come and then they change it, and it's like, what's the point of you coming to this place if you're just gonna knock it all down? And I know that there's limits of, I believe it's a 1 acre and below, then you don't have to get permits for certain things. And if most of the lots, or many of the lots, sorry, are below 1 acre, especially for my subdivision, it's only, I think the average is 8,000 and change square feet. Then if you have 20 of those lots below 1 acre, then and everybody just comes in and tears everything down, then you have that whole swath of land that has no forest. And then that changes the whole character of the place. It takes away from our bird people, our plant people, and everything. So how can we, in conjunction with the infrastructure and all of those things, how can we manage that aspect as far as people come in? Because you see it every day. When you're driving, you see, oh, somebody bought the lot and now it's just barren. They've, tore everything down, making way for all the invasives to come in happily and quickly, and then what? So that's another thing, is even just having the small land parcel owners not knock everything down and clear pin to pin. And I know we talked about it with our brochure and stuff, but what else what can we have with teeth as a committee, and how can we kind of bring that forward too? Wow.
Any other discussion? Marty, was that you that was gonna say something earlier?
Yes, we have to consider those that are lower income. And so many of them have moved out to places which are relatively cheaper than Paradise Park or Cal Ag Lots, of course. That's the highest priced place here in Puna, I think. So Fern Forest, Fern Acres, Eden Rock, Hawaiian Acres, Nana Valley. So anyway, what I was trying to say is this connectivity is so important to make these lands more suitable to young families and people who need a place to live. So that's why I highly support the connectivity. And I guess what you guys were saying about trying to regulate what people do on their private lot, I have seen, I was a realtor broker. I've seen a lot of people, yes, they could do the bulldozing from corner to corner, I know that. But many times they do try to plant fruit trees. I was told by one lot owner that ohia trees actually grow pretty quickly. So, try to have a balanced outlook on that. I think you would run into lawsuit after lawsuit. It's not likely to be able to, regulate people's private land. Yes, we want to make open land parks, walking corridors, everything like that, that'd be beautiful. But to make our committee try to control private land, I think is a losing cause.
I just came from Okinawa, Japan, an island, and I was dumbfounded with the density of the housing and the build out on that island, and coming back with even more profound gratitude for what we have. And I think we have to do everything we can to ensure that these incoming residents are informed, educated, and we put whatever we can in place to stop, full grubbing and grading. And Stephanie provided one possibility of a certificate or something. Certificate of need. Like, I think if there's other layers that can, make people stop or be educated. I know we, developed that brochure, but I mean, I don't really think that's effective. But I think that it's our responsibility, especially to our host culture and the specialness of this place, that we do whatever we can. And I'm sorry, with all due respect, I completely disagree with you. I think we need to think about what we can do to preserve the preciousness of our Aina, our Kai, forests. Because once they're gone, they're gone. Once it's desecrated, and we can never get it back, and no, it does not perfectly. And very susceptible. So I would support that, and I don't know if that's what ideas we can come up with, or Stephanie could bring us that information of examples of a certificate of need, and Layla, if anybody else has ideas on what we can do other than, an informational brochure, I would think that it would behoove our committee to, and like Layla said, maybe it's a review of our CDP. And maybe again, there's a letter that goes to our new administration that, that reminds everybody and informs them of the preciousness of what we have. So is this housing surfaces as a priority with homelessness, that we don't lose sight of what that is, even Ashley, who got that bill passed on the ADA units, like you said, we have three Ohana dwellings, and that's great for our local families. But what happens is, these mainland people come with no consciousness or awareness, and it can backfire on us. So I would stand in favor, and thank you, Layla, for bringing that forward. Anything we can do.
The realtors did try to pass out a brochure to let the people know not to do this. They really did. They did what they could. And any brochure or any public announcement, I totally support. It's not that I like them doing that. It's just that I don't know how you just have to try to give out the information, how precious our land is, and should not bulldoze from corner to corner.
I will add that, we do have a pig that is working on the building in Puna brochure to update that. I know I personally owe some information to that. But it's not so much the private landowners that come in, when they're gonna build their dream home or whatever. It's more of the contractors that are coming in and buying 4 lots in a row. I live in Iowa. I drove down a street today I haven't drove down in months, and I counted 5 lots that have been cleared since the last time I drove down it, and a house is going up, and they were cleared pin to pin. And so it's about getting this information out to these people that are just building and building and building, and they're building the HPM, spec homes, but they're clearing pin to pin. And I know in Iowa it's like 1/4 acre. Maybe it's a little more difficult, but it's not impossible to build a house on a 1/4 acre. Without clearing the whole thing. I mean, my yard is huge. It's a lot to keep up with. I would love to have more vegetation. So there is some concern with this, and especially when you're looking at HPP and they're just clearing pin to pin. I have friends that live there that built new home or bought new homes, and their lots cleared pin to pin. All they have are weeds, and they don't have any of the birds. They don't have the coqui frogs, which I know are invasive. But it's at this point, it's part of our life, So it's a thing, and we are working on getting that, and then the next step will be getting that information out there and trying to have some sort of response to it. I'm not sure how we're gonna do that. I think we need to have another meeting on that. But I definitely think this is a concern.
Committee Member Henkel.
Hi. I think, it's going to be difficult to convince people, or tell them what they can do with their property. I think if we think along the lines of maybe promoting more educational, make a video or something that shows different points of view and more of, what we collectively are thinking about, that might be helpful to new people arriving here. And another thing, in our discussion, I appreciate all the connectivity talk, but I think something that enhances connectivity and even and goes dovetail with it is promoting more agriculture and businesses in Puna, and kind of so that so many people don't have to drive to Hilo every day. It takes a load off of the highways if they can get more products and services right here in our neighborhood than having to go. And I think that the county could help do that by giving tax incentives for new businesses and agriculture, and that would help encourage it. And also maybe um, permitting process could be simplified too for people. Thank you.
So that was one of the solutions, is really to go back to our PCDP, our development plan, and the concepts around village and town centers, right? Within these areas that are expanding, such as, I think one of the things on our agenda is or one of the announcements on the agenda is about the district park for Hawaiian Paradise Park, right? If we're creating those spaces within these communities that have those resources, so we're keeping the people off of the roads, we're promoting agriculture and those different types of things, then that's a benefit, right? But I think that the other part of the build out of lots in Puna is something way larger that needs to be addressed.
Maybe Layla is a starting point, again, a letter from this body to the new administration, DPW and the mayor, and whomever, reminding them we could pull out parts of our plan. And just, the village town centers, as this infrastructure starts to be developed, and the other ideas that we have, maybe just, an educational reminder of concern and solutions for this incoming administration. Maybe that's something maybe that you and I could work on, and we could bring that to this body and for the new administration. It's a starting place.
Thank you.
Mahalo nui, everyone, for all the mana'o. Um, yeah, I just want to, I think, reiterate the sentiments here about, thinking about what that urban sprawl is looking like and the impact that it's having, especially because of what Leila was saying earlier about we're growing beyond the infrastructure, right? We're at that point where we've actually, Puna's growth has expanded beyond the actual infrastructures of our roads, even in some cases, our water systems, and things like that. So I want to also put out there, right, that we do have public open spaces and things like that where we have an opportunity to also get other funding, to also get conservation easements, agriculture easements, to then even protect some of these ainas from either even further development, but then we protect these spaces as well. So we do maintain some of our watersheds and where our water does come from, as well as if there are places that have cultural resources, wahipana, cultural landscapes, things like that too as well. So there are some mechanisms that we know that are disposed, but I definitely agree. Being an educator myself, education is definitely one of those things that we want to do. Also agree with committee member Henkel about agriculture as well as business, right? Thinking of ways in which how do we help grow some of our economy within Puna so that it allows people to stay within Puna versus having to then commute outside of Puna. Um, so to lessen sort of that road traffic and everything. I mean, it's a reminder for a lot of us, yeah, that who have bought lots in Puna that a lot of our lands are designated for ag use. So that might be another aspect that we want to encourage people is not only the grub pin to pin, but also thinking about planting things again for agriculture and things like that too. So
So if we want to put a letter to be considered on the agenda, would we, because that doesn't need a motion, then would we just request that as agenda item or?
Yeah, well, we can mention it now and then depending on where the draft, and where it is, and then if it's ready for the next meeting, then we have that.
all right, any more further discussion on our AC implementation priorities? How do people feel about these three particular priorities being called out? Good. Okay, I think with that stuff, I don't think we need a motion in regards to, or do we need a motion to adopt these as our implementation priorities now?
No.
Could I add one more? Water development, because I don't see that as in this group of three. The expansion of water to Puna.
Is there anywhere in the CDP that, because these have to align with our plan, so can you articulate where that is? I can remember in the plan. Maybe you could bring that next time and do that and work, because we're not voting on this, so.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so we're gonna table part of that discussion in regards to water systems and
Yes.
that water priority for another time. Okay. All right, with that, are we ready to move on to our business item number 4? Okay, and the time is 6:39 p.m. Committee will now move on to business item number 4, discussing potential action to elect chair and vice chair for the Puna CDP Action Committee for 2025. I would like to, at this point in time, nominate Vice Chair Lay De Mello as chair for the Puna CDP AC for 2025.
I second.
All right, any discussion? No discussion. I think it's an automatic, right? Let's just vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Do you accept the nomination, Lay?
I don't
Of
know, under
course she
duress?
did.
No, I'm just kidding.
You've been drafted.
I am happy to I'm happy to take on the Kuleana and do we also talk about who would be vice chair or how does that work?
I think we just start with you first.
Okay,
So-
I am happy to take the nomination. Mahalo nui for your confidence. I'll try my best.
Woo, hulo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Passed unanimous. Yay, congratulations, Chair De Mello. Right. And now for any one interested for vice chair for Puna CDP AC.
I'd like to nominate Greg Henkel for vice chair.
I second that nomination.
I accept.
All
If
right.
elected, I accept.
We should just, oh,
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And that has passed unanimously. Yay. Congratulations, Vice Chair Henkel. All right, with that, do we have any committee members who want to have items to agendize for our next meeting, which is going to be scheduled for Thursday, February 27, 2025?
Excuse me, Chair, we have 3 testifiers that would like to testify on this item. I'm gonna call up Corey first.
Which item?
For proposed agenda items for next vote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it's?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, it was under, the,
oh. Um. Which is the next? Yeah, which is the next one? Okay. You guys want to speak to her with that, and she gives the announcements? Okay, maybe Stephanie, you want to give?
Stephanie Bath. You know, we just had a really rich discussion about the priorities for the CDP and writing the letters and that. And something that I wanted to invite the action committee to do is consider the current drafting of the hazard mitigation plan by the county. The consultant is Petrotech. And they're going to be asking for input into this. And I was at the EOC for the one of the presentations. And what they did was they had long or critical or important, medium and not so important. Those weren't the words they used, but there were 3 categories. We got to get on this and prioritize this, and then the middle one and the lesser one. And during the meeting, things switched, and 2 of the things that went from lower priorities to higher priorities were food security and invasive species. Because what's happening is people are coming in and they're grubbing and they're grading and they're clearing, and so invasive species come in. And anyway, we won't get into that. So I'm encouraging this body to develop a plan of action to submit testimony on that. We were talking about water, which is everything. And if we take away the forest, which sponges the water to our aquifer, it doesn't matter how many pipes we run, we're not going to have that capacity to deliver the water. So in fact, we are, in my humble opinion, when we address the preservation of the forests, we are preserving the ecosystem, which is sponging that water into our aquifer. And so that's our insurance. And then the other thing would be, you know, making sure that it's not tainted by oils or crud that we get in there. So I think we're on the right track. I think we are really addressing it. It's just overlaying the different elements of it and having the people's voice heard in that hazard mitigation plan, because it's going to be adopted by the county, right? So if it's in there, and if it's in the general plan, if it's in the PCDP, we got ourselves covered. We can, because you know how the county is, they look at the documents, right? So I just wanted to encourage you to do that. And I think Barry said it was section 32. It's a pretty thick document, maybe 36, 32, but that would be one way to, I would encourage you to get something together kind of quick. Thank you.
Mahalo. Was there another testifier?
No, sorry, then the next 2 testifiers are for the announcements.
coming out.
Okay. All right. So at this point in time, any AC members want to propose any agenda items for the next meeting in February?
Chair, would that be anything aside from the things that we discussed as far as ongoing items, or do we have to specifically call all those things out as far as letters of support, meetings, or any kind of presentations?
It can be new stuff. It can be new things that we haven't discussed so far today. I thought of one that I don't know if we want to tackle this, and it relates to land use and the fact that the state and the county said you can build 2 or 3 lots on every, 2 or 3 houses on every lot. We might, as a committee, want to push back on that and say no to that.
Just got.
I know, but that's so new, and I don't think it was vetted that well with the population. They don't really understand how that's gonna affect. If Paradise Park, see, what I think is that where the roads are decent, that will increase where they're gonna put the houses. So Paradise Park will soon have 3 houses on many lots. Then, Orchid Land 2, because it's pretty close to the highway. Anyway, it is a disaster for Puna. They might want to do it in Hilo and go for it. Have a nice crowded neighborhood. But we came out here to live in the country, right? So, you know, you don't want to push back on it?
Isn't actually gonna do a presentation next, in February, she wasn't ready this time on the recovery, preliminary recovery. I think she was asking for a presentation on the whole special, the whole special district, yeah, that's right.
And just to help add a little bit more to what Marty's saying with that ADU bill that went through, is to also keep in mind that within the bill, if it is state land use ag, then you cannot. Or state land use conservation, like if it's state land use urban, then that's where a lot of this is allowed. And if it is ag, while it will still be called an ADU, and my understanding is you still also have to provide, proof of farming or something to show that you need that additional farm. Well, it would be considered an additional farm dwelling still, and it will still be, put under the subject to the criteria of the current, additional farm dwelling.
What I was thinking is, since Ashley's gonna be on the agenda for February for the special district, if we could request her to give as part of her presentation what the criteria around the ADU is, and you could, have your concern addressed.
I think that's a great opportunity.
Yeah, but I think we have to call it out and ask her to, as part of the presentation. So I don't know, is that something?
We can do, we can make a note to do that.
And so that is on the agenda already for the next.
We're waiting to hear from her. We checked in with her, she said she was ready for this.
For this one, I know she wasn't for this one, but I think we're getting close to the.
Great. Any other items for next agenda? So staff will check with, is that Ashley you said for the ADU?
Well, for this, she's gonna present on the special district for Pahoa and.
Oh, that's right.
And I've asked if we can tag team part of a little bit of her presentation to give the criteria around ADUs along with her presentation.
Great. Any other items we want to post for the next agenda? All right, seeing none. So we know the next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, February 27, 2025. At this time, we'll go ahead and move with announcements, 6:51 p.m. Did we want to make the announcement first, or I know we had testifier for that?
Yes, and then Debbie after that.
Aloha, my name is Corey Hisashima. I live in the Olahu Estate subdivision, which is a new subdivision that was developed about 3 years ago in between Kea'au High School and Navahi School. The environmental assessment that is currently out right now for the Hilo Benioff Medical Center is adjacent to the properties that we own. We don't have a community association yet because we're so new. But upon hearing about these plans, we were able to get about 90% of the residents who currently have houses in there come to a meeting and share with them what we had learned about this project, and they are all in opposition to it as well as I am. It's a 26-acre parcel. It's zoned Ag 20. All of the communications that we have gotten as residents have come across to us as a 23-lot, 1-acre family agriculture subdivision. And to be quite honest, we all kind of was like, okay, well, it looks similar to our subdivision, so kind of think it'll be okay. There were some residents who had gone to the planning commission meeting and voiced their opinion about 1 ingress and 1 egress, which I agree is still an issue, that there's just 1 way in and 1 way out. But it has only been communicated to us that it was going to be this 23-lot subdivision. Only upon a front page news article in the Hawaii Tribune Herald did we learn that there was plans to do a medical facility on that property. So no notification to us that this was the intent. And then all documents started to point to 2 TMKs versus 1 TMK. And I got really confused about how that could happen because the property is 26 acres. So how did it go to anything less than 20? So it got subdivided in February of this year to a 19-acre parcel and a 7-acre parcel. And upon visiting the planning department and trying to figure out what happened, it turned out that it went through an exemption of section 23-11 of the subdivision code, whereby the requirements and standards of the subdivision code shall not apply to public utility subdivisions and their remnant parcels. The intent of this subdivision is to help serve the medical needs of the Puna community. And then there was an attached subdivision agreement that went along with that, which basically said that if it didn't get sold to government for use for medical reasons or medical facility or anything, that this subdivision gets pulled back. Well, in the meantime, as we're not opposing this 23-lot subdivision, it managed to get through the Windward Planning Committee. It managed to get through first reading at County Council without any opposition, which was really, really interesting to all of us because we never knew that this was happening. So, then there was the notice of the EA, right? And then we got a letter. It was about a week or so after the Hawaii Tribune Herald ran that front page article. There are a multitude of reasons why we don't feel that it's fit in this area. One of them being, and probably one of the most important, is that it's going to be an urgent care facility with behavioral health services. So you're going to put a facility that does behavioral health in the middle of a community that's surrounded by three schools. So you got Navahi School right next door. You have Kea'au High School right across the street. And then you have Kea'au Elementary School right down the street. So You're gonna go put this behavioral facility in the middle of that, so that people with limited resources come out of this facility, and then where do they go? They wander. And they wander into our subdivision, they wander into our schools, and that puts risk on us, puts risk on a Kiki that is at school, the faculty and staff that are all working at that school. There is gonna be significant traffic impacts. The road that they're gonna build it, they're planning to build it on, is actually not even the old Kealpahoa Highway, but that small little road on the inside of that, that's substandard right now. It's like, you can't even get 2 cars in there at all right now. Traffic in the morning when they're dropping off kids, all 3 schools. Navajo School especially gets very heavy traffic on that old Kealpahoa road. After school, it's even worse. There are 2 lines stacked up of cars on Old Pahoa Road, all the way back towards the intersection of our subdivision, and they all park there waiting to pick up their Kiki. Can you imagine that we're adding more traffic to that situation? There's also a water standpipe there. One of the only water standpipes available for all of us to get water delivered in times of drought. So right now, today, trucks are running. We haven't had rain in a while. They're all lined up there. So what's gonna happen? Do you take away the standpipe and then impact the people all the way from Hamakua? They're getting this water all the way up to Volcano, and all of Lower and Upper Puna is getting water from that standpipe. So what's gonna happen to that resource that is needed by everyone? I thank you for being on this board and for the work that you guys put into the Puna Community Development Plan. This facility goes against everything that you guys have put in there. It is outside of your Keao Regional Town Center boundary. It encroaches on agricultural and residential lots. And I'm a huge proponent of agriculture, sustainability, and food security. That's the line of work that I'm in, and I feel that is so important. And it's not the place to be putting a medical facility to take away from agriculture and residential lots. It goes against the WH Shipman Keao Village conceptual master plan. So it's outside of the areas that even WH Shipman designated as should be commercial. And they have areas that are designated to be commercial. In fact, it's right adjacent to this facility here. They have it very, very outlined in their plan about where these types of activities should happen. They are asking about public comments to the EA that is out right now. Well, there was a grubbing permit issued for this parcel in April of 2023. A grubbing permit is only good for 1 year. The developer was grubbing and has graded more than 100 cubic yards of soil after April 23, when their grubbing permit was already expired. And the period of time in which they were grubbing and taking down trees that were greater than 15-foot tall was during the threatened and endangered species hoary bat pupping season. And it was also during nesting and fledging season for the Hawaiian duck and the eel. So this all happened just this past summer.
Did you file a complaint with the planning department?
I am collecting they already know. I've talked to them about it, and I'm getting together our packet with our photographs and so forth so that we can submit it. Is there really a community need for another urgent care facility? from where they want to put this, we already have 3 within 1 mile. We have the East Hawaii urgent care, we have the Keao urgent care, and then we have the Bay Clinic. So is there really a need? I don't think so. But there is, according to a state representative that I talked to, a documented need for Puna to have a 911 accepting facility. And that is a documented need in studies that are out there. If you think about Pahoa, they have one of the highest patient transport times on the whole island. You're talking 45 minutes average one way. Now, when that medic is out for that 45 minutes there, drop off and 45 minutes back, it put other communities at risk as well. Because you're taking away from Hawaiian Paradise Park, you're taking away from Kea'au, you're taking away from Kauailani, because all 3 of those medics have to respond into Pahoa when the Pahoa medic is out. So there is a documented need for a 911 accepting facility, but definitely not in the location that they're proposing. And who knows, if they start with this urgent care facility, behavioral health, it could turn into a 911 accepting facility. And then what are we being faced with at that point, right? Because plans can always change. So for these reasons, we just wanted to bring it to your guys' attention. And since it's already past first reading, we are looking to go to second reading because that's kind of our only line of defense right now for the subdivision to go through. And we have been in communication with our chairperson, who is Matt Kaniali'i Kleinfelder, and have told him what our concerns are. We have all written letters to the developer, which mind you, the developer is the same developer that did our subdivision and sold us our lots. So you would think that he would have a little bit more decency to tell us what he was planning on doing. You know. Anyways, so I just wanted to share that, take the time to share that with you. Thank you so much for listening, and hope that in some way, shape or form, you might be able to support us not having this done. Thank you.
Yeah, mahalo nui. Any questions? Oh, but Vice Chair DeMello.
Hi, mahalo nui for sharing that information. I was just wondering if you know when the second reading would be?
Can you repeat the question?
When's the second reading?
Second reading is December 18th in Hilo, 9 o'clock, I believe.
December?
Yes.
Is this with the county council or is this with the Windward Planning Commission?
It's past the Windward Planning Commission. It's second reading county council.
Okay.
Really late in the game.
Yeah, but we had no idea that we had to oppose it because we just thought it was a 23 lot subdivision.
Wow. Sorry, can you tell me what that exemption code was again?
Okay.
2311. 2311.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else on the so comments are due for the Hilo Benioff Medical Center Cal Outpatient Center draft EA by December 9th, 2024. So okay. Wow, that's a tight timeline. And then 9 days later they have the second reading. Interesting. All right. Any other we have one more testifier?
Yes. One more, we have Miss Debbie Collins.
Aloha, I'm Debbie Collins. I also have a property, a house at Olivo Estates. And Corey is very thorough as far as everything she said. My big thing is the infrastructure. going in there, the impact on the schools. I'm also vice principal at Cal Middle School. And believe me, the traffic gets backed up all the way there. As she said, we have 2 lanes of traffic to pick up the kids every day. I think we need studies on the infrastructure needed. To 5 years from now, 10 years from now, if that medical center is there, what will the traffic look like at that point? We're already at the point where if I get out of the subdivision and make a left at 7:30 a.m., we're backed up. You have to go all the way around the bypass road and have to cut through up by KLL to make a right to go to Cal Middle School. Now, as a perspective as an administrator, I'm concerned about the traffic. Kids nowadays, everything's on the phone. Parents get impatient. They drop the kid on the side of the road. They're crossing in between traffic. We do have one of those aides at the elementary school that does help with the elementary. But like I said, parents are very impatient. They drop off their kids early. Now, as she said, they're going to have a medical facility there, a mental health. My concerns also is parents drop off their kids before 6 a.m. They got to go to town. We do not have personnel on the campus until the head custodian comes in and opens it up and checks around. So you're going to have kids being dropped off, no adult to watch them, and possibly, you know, people with, along with that type of facility, you're gonna have people with mental health issues, you're gonna have homeless. It does bring in that. So my concern is even with the staff, they're not gonna be happy. Staff, parents know that that kind of facility is close to the school. They're not, you know, that's gonna generate issues. As a vice principal, we go through lockdowns. And I want to say about 3 years ago, we had a gentleman with a machete that came through the school that sent us into a lockdown. And because the schools are very close, a lot of times when one school is going to lockdown, all 3, it'll generate the 3 public schools. They will all go into lockdowns until we find out, you know, more information as to what is going on. So my concerns is not only as a person that has a property there, my concern is as someone who works with the community and the students. We do have things like the lighted parade, you know, having that there. I don't know how that's going to affect any future community events, because that's right at the beginning, I want to say, at the parade. Having that there, just having people in there. And if I'm not mistaken, I know that elementary school was using that road as the Mighty Bilers. They have this program where they were running, and they would use that road. So that's another thing that, you know, would take away. It no longer be safe for the schools to use. Anyway, this new property would be bumping up against my backyard. So the parking lot would be up against my backyard. Corey's across the street from me. The lighting, you know, when coming to me, the lighting, I'm sure the parking lot's gonna be lighted. I've got my dogs in the backyard. I have a 10-year-old granddaughter that I'm gonna be stranger danger now because I have people I don't know in the backyard, and I will no longer feel at rest having her running in the backyard unattended. It'll affect me, it'll affect the community. Infrastructure is not there to put it in that spot. You know, in that area between the Navajo and Olaho Estates, it's gonna be a rat race coming in and out. I can guarantee you that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the infrastructure is not there for the future. It's not there for it now, let alone the future. Anyway, I thank you for listening to my concerns. And you have my, yes.
I see Councilmember Susie Osborne. Got a question?
Yeah, this was a TIAR conducted, traffic impact assessment.
I doubt that.
Yeah, it's in.
Oh,
It is.
and there was no negative implications from the TIAR.
When you do the counting, you don't see the stands there. All you see is counting.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but you're talking about a realtor that bought this acreage that was ag, and now he's changing it.
I understand. I'm looking for pathways and potential, potential, I understand the process really, really well, and I understand education, the county and blah, blah, blah. So I get it completely, everything you're saying. I'm just looking at potential solutions in this 11 and a half hour of the situation that I knew this was happening, but I had no awareness. And I did question why that location. I wondered, why aren't they just doing something up in the urgent care where there already is a facility? But I didn't realize the magnitude of this impact. And I really thank you for.
36,000 square feet.
Yeah, 36,000.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, it's a really great.
So we have Shipment Park.
It's surprising that the county and the state aren't realizing we need a hospital in Puna. So what I would worry about is they're trying to take this as a starter of a small hospital. So that changes everything, and of course I oppose that.
That's a big concern I have.
And
That they'll
then
start
why
something.
isn't it being put in shipment land in the shipment industrial area? I mean, I don't know the details about that land too much, but that, this place is totally unacceptable.
Well, thank you for listening. If you have any questions, you have my information. Thank you.
Mahalo, Debbie. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it.
So considering this is gonna be heard for the second reading already in our council within a matter of weeks. I would say, something we could do is we can share with you the applications that have gone through. That is all public information, and then, if you would like to
Individually testify.
I would definitely recommend doing that. Depending if it goes for a third reading, then we could also be working on having something being drafted and ready for the next.
So we can't represent the Puna CDP in the second reading because of the time frame.
Correct, unless right now, in the last hours of tonight, we can figure out what we want to say. So I would recommend, definitely showing up in person, planning to work to get those application documents to you all. And anybody else that requests.
And then I would recommend that you ladies also, just reach out to Matt, but the other council members, like, Ash is Lower Puna, she's really receptive. I mean, whoever you can, because if it's going to the council, they need to understand. Because if you only got a few minutes, like for 3 minutes, you can't do this in 3 minutes. I would take that time right now up front and go speak to the other county council members.
We all can still speak to the CDP document and whatnot, we just can't be representing ACP.
Yeah. So yeah, that's right. We can relate it to the CDP, but we can't represent the CDP.
All right, mahalo for that. So again, reminder, comments are due by December 9th in regards to the draft EA. So please, if you are concerned about this, please make sure, as a parent of a child who goes to Navahi and they run that melee every day, I am also going to be one of those parents that will be stating my concern with that. So Vice Chair DeMello.
Actually, yeah, because I'm a Makua Navahi Kikahi, and I was just wondering if they reached out to Navahi, because that if you can tap into that network of support, if they're aware, I mean, if they've been if they have been made aware of this, I think there would be a lot of Makua who would be willing to send in their individual testimony and support in opposition.
Navajo did provide testimony to planning commission, so they are at least aware that I can say that.
We have a couple of, in fact, a few of our community members who are teachers, administrators, or parents of students at Navajo, and they brought it to their administration. And they were planning on putting together letters and also going in front of the county council.
Okay, mahalo. Because yeah, when we do have things that they ask Makua to testify, or we do get notifications.
Yeah, we do get our one call email notifications. There might cut you about that.
Did you get one on this issue?
Not recently, no. All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Just encourage you guys to read the EA on page 73 and 74. It specifically addresses the PCDP, and what they're stating to start out with is not in alignment with what they're asking for. Yeah.
Mahalo for pointing that out, Leila. All right, and then next announcement is comments are due by December 23rd, 2024 regarding the Hawaiian Paradise Park new district park draft EA. So the link is there in our agenda. Is there any conversation or discussion about this one?
We've known the testimony. Exactly.
All right, and then last announcement is Planning Department is currently seeking applicants for the Puna CDP AC and is requesting assistance to get the word out to interested community members. Obviously, we know with the changeover in administration, I believe Micah Alameda right now is currently for boards and commissions. So please encourage our Ohana, our friends, to visit the website, hawaiicounty.gov, our county boards, commissions, applications to submit their applications for Puna CDP AC.
I'd like to also chime and mention that if you know people that have applied but never got notice or never got nominated forward, that this is a new administration. And so it is the mayor that nominates. And so if they have applied and they still want to do it, for them to resubmit their application. Ladies. Consider.
I'm gonna focus on this, the CL.
I'm talking about the two ladies.
Yeah, this is my big thing.
All right. Any other committee members or staff have announcements to make? No?
Make a motion.
Go for it, Leila.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Third.
And wish
So
everybody holidays. Yeah.
Yeah. Motion to adjourn by committee member Kello. I'm sorry, I missed the second. So, okay, got it. So let us adjourn this meeting at 7:20 p.m. And yes, Hau'oli Kalikimaka, happy holidays to everyone. Have a safe, happy holidays. It's been an honor to serve as chair on the Puna CDP AC. So mahalo nui ya'oko pakahi. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Pinoy. Mahalo, everybody. Ahui ho.
Mahalo.
Kuiho, aloha.
Aloha.